Okay, now we're into part three. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Continued problem with the video camera, so we are just going to keep moving on. I'm going to record a short video here on my webcam, and we're just going to wrap up the broadcast. Ordinarily, I just want to make one kind of big video, keep it to about an hour long, and you guys can just check that out. This time it didn't happen, so tune into all three parts of this broadcast. Just start at the top of the post, and then work your way down with each video. Uh, Really, the only other news item that I wanted to cover was this instance that happened in Quebec. These girls hired a hypnotist, what's called a mentalist now, to come and speak to their school and give them a demonstration. What happened was that they were put into such a trance by this hypnotist that they stayed in this prolonged trance, and this hypnotist had to actually call upon his mentor to come in and snap these girls who are like 12, 13 years old out of this trance that they were put in. And it's really just indicative of the susceptibility of the human mind and how easy it is for us to be hypnotized. So keep that in mind when you flick on the television, when you look at the politicians, all of the messaging that you see around you all the time. Try to limit your exposure to some of that, because the human mind is, I think, so susceptible, much more susceptible than we think that it is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some people just kind of basically live their whole lives just responding to their environment around them, like these bionic androids, and they never once have a completely original thought or insight that there's a percentage of the human population out there that's like that. So everything's under control, and we need to combat that. We need to kind of turn our televisions off and refocus our energies. I've been trying to do that in my own life, and I've received some really startling insights as of late. I mentioned in a previous post that I'm an atheist. I have encountered something just by making myself available to the idea that there could be something larger, something greater than what I'm saying. I'm allowing my intellect not to interfere with another force that could enter into my life and become something that I could understand more fully. I guess I'm not explaining that well, but basically what's happened to me is that I've seen that current events don't exist in a vacuum, that everything is part of an ecosystem. You know, we're trained to believe by TV news and stuff that everything is random, that everything is coincidental. And I'm starting to understand that nothing is coincidental. If I take that implication to its fullest extent, I can start to understand the universe as being a holistic system purposefully designed. Now, think about this. If there is no God, why is there stuff in the universe? Why does matter exist? Why are we here, basically? Because if there is no God, if there's no creator, if there's no intelligent force that's controlling everything, what is the point? Because everything is a system, because everything is interconnected, I think that it's possible to understand the totality of those systems being brought together into one universal sphere, to regard that large thing that basically encompasses everything in the universe as being God, as being the ultimate, the Alpha and Omega, as the Bible says. Keep that in mind when you're reading these news articles and when you're kind of analyzing the world around you. Hopefully at this point you're switching the television off, you're starting to read books, investigate actual human history, and trying to find out what's really going on. I think that these news articles really point to what is a larger system, a corrupt system, that's controlling our world. And if we are informed, we are in the fight. I cannot stress that enough. Informing yourself is resistance. Talking about it is resistance. When your friends say things like, "Oh, well, you're just talking about it. You're not doing anything." They have been conditioned to believe that violence is the only answer. That a violent revolution that overthrows our government and everything is the only answer to this. And I see another way. I see a third way where we can work together and inform one another and influence our leaders through a market. I want to head off a 1776 moment where we have no choice but to defend ourselves from the violent predatory state. And I think that we can do that if we're all informed and if we put pressure on those that are in leadership positions to help us. With that said, I don't think that the solution is really political. I think that Ron Paul is great. I think that his message is really powerful. I think that his message is really the most important thing about him. Winning the presidency and stuff like that, we have to just say to ourselves that that system of power is illegitimate and we can't become a part of that. So I think it'd be great if Ron Paul was president, but really the most important thing is his message. Getting that out there to people, letting them know that liberty, freedom, and equality, and by equality I mean treating one another fairly, using the golden rule, all of that. So also, I think there's a lot of hope for humanity, and if we give people the power and the tools to deal with some of the problems, the environmental problems, the financial problems, all the financial inequality that we see in the world, overpopulation, all of that stuff that Rio 20 is about, the market can address those problems more directly in a much more efficient way than the state or the government even can. So human beings will persist, civilization will continue, and we will go to the stars if we throw out the tyrants, if we replace this system that's heading us towards total tyrannical world government. We can safeguard our future, create something of value for our children and grandchildren. So I want to leave you guys tonight with a Bible verse. This is from my favorite book of the Bible. It's from Ecclesiastes. Again, I'm not a Christian. Kind of a half-hearted atheist at this point. Let's just call it an agnostic. But I think that there's wisdom in all the world's literature, and the Bible's no exception. There's some kind of screwed up messages in the Bible, but there's also some really good thoughts. So this comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 1. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. So Plato said that too. There's nothing new under the sun. And what I'm trying to say is that we will persist. We will overcome. The globalist control freaks don't think that we're capable of running our own lives and creating vibrant systems to help one another, to pull one another out of poverty, give people health and happiness and liberty, which is the natural human tendency, is to go toward those things. And there is a criminal element within the human species, but markets can handle those too. And traditionally, we've always been capable of enforcing our laws in the past without the assistance of the state. So what I'm saying is that we don't need the state. We don't need this superstructure to medicate us, to sell us on war, to constantly feed propaganda, advertising, public relations messages to us. We can think for ourselves, and if we eat clean food and exercise and use our minds instead of just becoming passive spectators who watch television and eat Doritos all day, we can become really remarkable human beings, really amazing biological machines, which is what human beings are. And I want you all to keep that in mind. We're gonna be back, I think, on Tuesday with another news broadcast. Again, I apologize for splitting up the broadcast into three things, but I guess it's also good because I need a break. We're gonna get we're gonna get the camera up and running with a full battery next time, and we're gonna continue with this media operation. I call it citizen journalism. I'm not really a journalist. I'm just a guy that's checking out the news and staying informed, and I'm just freedom-minded. I want all the stuff that this country was intended to create in the first place, and I see that being eroded every day, and it scares me, it angers me, and I want to turn you on to that. I want to make you aware so that we can work together to fight this thing. So this has been Nightwatchman News. Again, I'm Michael Gillum. Check me out on Tuesday. We'll have another broadcast with some hard-hitting, crazy news. And it's going to be awesome. Thanks a lot for tuning in. See you next time.